Welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And I kind of want to continue our conversation that we're having with our last few videos. Uh, and kind of what's coming up is agenda being and people not being authentic and layers of self deception, bull crap stories are reasons why we can't, our limiting reasons, our limiting stories, and the stories that we buy into to serve ourselves in a way where we stay stuck, limited. We can just really say ego, but the ego is a construct. It's an Agent Smith. It's, its job is to gather information, stories, memories, experiences, and hold on to them to give you a sense of continuity while you're moving through life. You say, so it's kind of keeps track of time and organizes things so you can move from point A to point B and remember how you got there and possibly even look forward to the next destination. So your ego has a function, okay? It's not negative, but it's limited. It's very limited. So you can consider it your basic computer operating language. It's your DOS programming. Uh, but what we get is larger than life egos. We get people only sharing their ego, you know? They only share their problems. They only share their stories. They only act out from these patterns. And it creates a sense of separation and distance and isolation. Whether you physically isolate yourself or you are in groups, you become a non playable character to other people because you're so much in your ego. The only thing that you're going to allow them to see is your problems, your story, but they're not really sharing you. They're not really sharing into your unfiltered face, your unfiltered energy, your awareness, your perspective. Like, they're not really sharing and having an experience with you. And so that's why they weren't attracted to you. That's why things didn't last. That's why there's mistrust in the relationship. It's because what you're holding back is the essence of your being, like your soul. What people think is soul is really just yourself. Okay? So so what's going on with a lot of spiritual narratives is spiritual narratives, magical narratives on how the universe is created and the different levels and dimensions and densities and vibrations and frequencies and chakras. That's all compartmentalizing. That's all chopping up the pie that is whole. That is one. That's all here right now. Uh, so it's kind of misleading to say there's 12 dimensions. It's misleading to say there's an astral world, a world separate from the physical world. They're all interconnected. The more you focus on one, the more you become aware and interact with that plane of existence. But there really is no division. That's kind of the illusion of life. That's the illusion that lets you experience a sense of self, an identity, a personality, a history, a memory, an image. put together as a timeline, as a living life, as a story, a living story. So when you want to jailbreak out of your psychology or try to understand why someone else isn't growing or they're stuck in a loop, like, why isn't your friend unpredictable? Why aren't they doing things different? You know, or why can't I handle the chaos that's now seemingly happening to me? People get stuck in their story. People get stuck in their narrative. And when you really start looking at it like that, story, narrative, hologram, programming, you can then go, who wrote the story? I did. You can start taking accountability so you can end the blame game. So there's incentives, there's payoffs why you would subscribe to limiting stories, stories where other people have the power, you know, in the choose your own adventure called your life and how you wish to define things. So this plays into why so kind of within my lifestyle, I'm obviously, at one time I was an astrologer doing readings for people, and I found out they couldn't utilize the information. They didn't have the bandwidth to utilize the information of a basic astrology reading. Like, how do you take the information from the reading with new awareness of self and possibilities of events coming up? How do you then make new choices? They threw away that new awareness and they're using it. They didn't know an astrology reading could be so rich, in depth, empowering, but then put all that responsibility on you to now that you know yourself better, make different decisions. And so I find this also with tarot readings. They tell you a story, and what do you do with that information? How do you then make new choices? Most people just rely on their programming. This is how I face fears. This is how I face rejection. This is how I do it. So I'm going to respond the exact same way, or try to respond differently, but then end up watching myself respond the exact same way of self-undoing to stay in the pattern that I'm in. So it's like you're just living out a program on autopilot, calling it karma and destiny, predetermination, the matrix, whatever you like to call it. And we're just filling in gaps with half-baked ideas, not fully thought out understanding of things. And honestly, maybe there's a truth in that. Maybe it's all a bunch of seemingly reasonable bullshit that we buy into to make the best informed decision that we can, And so I feel like if we start looking at things differently, we can create more understanding and compassion for this experience called being a human being, living on planet Earth, if that's really where we are, So there's let madness, let the unknown into your life. Let crazy in. Don't blow it out of proportion, but just go, yeah, I really don't know what's going on or how it all works. So all I can do is maybe create a model and attempt to work within this structure. If it serves me, it serves me. If it doesn't, I scrap it. But that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, so why can't we be authentic with ourselves? And why are we so afraid of being authentic with others? And how many stories upon stories that validate each other of more story do we have that thickens the wall, that makes it the barrier between me and you, between me and you and reality? So everyone wants connection. Everyone is thinking, well, if I looked better, well, then I could have connection. Then connection would stay with me. So replace the word love with connection. Replace whatever it is that you desire, happiness with connection, peace with connection, immortality with connection, spiritual power, connection. So I think connection is such a better word. What is stopping me from feeling connected? From realizing I'm connected, which is like integration, psychological integration, connecting all your parts, being in touch with your mind, body, and spirit, holistic spiritual healing, uh, balance. It's a sense of connection with all your parts. Uh, so whether that's in the format of being connected to God or feeling your magic or manifesting your desires, it's all about how do I feel and how do I be in connection, you know? And so the formula looks a little bit different on the outside, but it's the same on the inside. The journeys look different on the outside, but they're all the same. They're all valid. Some journeys are more practical and simple and get you there a lot faster. So if all is one and all the dimensions are connected, then you're also already there. You're already arrived. The only person who doesn't know that you have arrived to the kingdom is you. You have arrived. You are it. These simple, profound statements. So what's left then is an illusion. I'm seeing it disconnected. I'm seeing a world in separation. I'm seeing a me and a you. I'm seeing I'm talking to you. I'm seeing what I say now happening now, but not happening then and then. So I'm past, present, and future are one. So crown chakra level of awareness is a knowledge, an understanding, a deep awareness of how everything is one. And through the oneness, everything is connected. Time, space, past, present, future. It all connects here in the now. Though the now is like the magic super glue that can realign you, can bring you back to your senses, can reawaken you. So you get into the matrix, you get sucked in with a story, you get sucked in with an object of your desire that you project onto, and it looks beautiful, attractive, and desirable, and you perceive that any way that you wish to. You define it any way that you wish to. And then you go after it. And as you go after it, you get pulled into the story. You get the living story, the matrix, the illusion, the smoke and the mirrors. But when you get there and you grab it, the disillusion happens. Wait a minute. You're not the man of my dreams. You're not the one. you're hugging me, but it just doesn't feel like the love I imagined. Well, now that I've won all this money, I actually don't feel free. I thought it was going to bring a sense of freedom and peace, and I could finally relax. Well, now that I got that medal, and so you find out the disillusion is also the profound awareness. It's empty. The whole world is empty. They're just a bunch of objects moving randomly with no meaning and no value. Correct and incorrect. The love that you were transferring, imposing on, projecting on to the screen of life, the magic mirror, those are your feelings. You generate that kind of love. Yes, you can manifest that and dance with the rag doll called your partner or the puppet, the wooden puppet, your Pinocchio. Uh, you can live the dream, but do it with awareness. Acknowledge it's your love you're feeling. It's your enchantment. You're enchanting yourself. You're illusioning yourself. You're conjuring these feelings. You're conjuring all of it. You're creating and co-creating it all. So at any time, you can uncreate it, detach, let go, let the dream die, let the movie end. You can dissolve it all. You can recreate the universe. You can return it to its primordial state. You can travel backwards from just like all the way back to zero, all the way back to the beginning. And you find yourself here and now. The end and the beginning are one. So I love to play mind games with myself and probably other people as well. And it's all about creating and destroying illusions to expand awareness, to get out of a rut, to get out of a stuck space. Who would have thought that mental health could be so fun? And I do it to entertain myself, to be flexible, to slip through the cracks, to be a master key and open up all the doors. So you're an explorer, you're an adventurer, you're someone who experiments and flirts with life. You tickle it, you tease it, you poke it, you prod it. Acknowledge this. You're experimenting. You're experimenting. Should I say this? Should I not say this? Should I withhold this information? Should I share this information? Should I fully express So there's choice. In every single moment, you get to choose. You always have the power. There was never one moment in your life where you actually didn't have a choice. Do I keep the door locked? Do I keep the door open? Do I call the police? Do I open my mouth and speak the truth and suffer the consequence? Or do I keep my mouth shut and let the toxicity go on, whatever your story is? So most of our stories serve us to ignore, to deny the power that we have of being conscious, awake, responsible beings. Nothing happens actually without your awareness. So all you can do is turn a blind eye to it. Tell yourself a story, a convincing story. Give yourself an excuse. This whole dishonesty, we're so dishonest with ourselves. We say, if I was actually myself and shared my vulnerabilities, my actual desires, my actual needs, then I might not get it, or I would be criticized and judged. I know exactly what they've said. No, you don't. That's a story. You have an opportunity to take a risk, to show some vulnerability. So, in reality, there is a human component, a natural function. When you show vulnerability, it actually, in the other person, triggers empathy. Empathy is a foundation of human connection that opens the door to understanding and generosity. Some people will even dare say to use the word of love, which we know is connection. On many levels, the more connections, the more sense of love, oneness, belonging, joy, bliss you feel. So, learning to do your life backwards will fix you. Learning to hold yourself accountable, to examine your stories and how they're serving the negative side of you. They're serving your Mr. Anderson in the Matrix. They're serving your character, but not who you are. The reason why you're unhappy and unfulfilled is because time and time again, you keep choosing behaviors / self-expression that's not authentic to you, but is authentic to your stories. And especially the stories where you don't have to be awesome. So get comfortable calling yourself out as a deceiver, a fraud, a liar, a user. You use these limiting stories to justify limiting actions so you can stay comfortable in the limits you know. So it all comes down to lack consciousness and you tricking yourself into promoting it, into siding with it, into making it hero, making it right. You're trying to take a wrong and make it right, to justify wrong actions, hoping, gambling, risking, which you already know won't work. So do you see the distortion, the self-twisting you're doing? You know on a deeper level it's wrong. That's anxiety is not listening to your intuition. Depression is not listening to your intuition. These aren't diseases to be treated. Your body is calling you out. Your body is going, seriously, are we going to continue another day of self-deception? Are we going to con ourselves? Are we going to continue to subscribe to bullshit? Okay, I said it. Are you that special? So individualized? Is your story so unique that you actually need therapy? Let's clear away your stories. Call yourself out on your bullshit, your failure to take responsibility, your procrastination, your fear of the future, your why you keep holding on to your past. All this story making, all this distraction and time wasting and energy wasting and getting other people involved in your crap. Let's just stop. Yeah, okay, here's a new moment. Are you that awesome that you can just and throw it away? Okay, flush the toilet right now. Okay, quit dumping on everyone, especially yourself. Stop dumping, leaning on others, over leaning. Okay, This is the advice that you are trying to pay your therapist to give you. This is what you're wanting from your friends. This is the talk that your mom and dad should be telling you, your brother, your sister, your hero, your mentor. You want them in a very loving way to look at you and say, stop bullshitting yourself. Now I know you are a better person than that. And the whole point of going after it, going after your passions, going after your desires, living your best life, the whole point is to give yourself more permission to do it. Get those skills. Watch yourself. Prove to yourself how wrong your limiting stories are and how awesome you actually are. You'll get to a point jailbreaking yourself out of your stories, your victim mentality, the popular culture of humanity's limiting potential. You'll get to a point where you just realize you can do anything. And honestly, there will be some things you can't do. And if you look deep into those things, you didn't want to do those. They weren't on your path. They weren't authentic to your being. They weren't being lit up by the love in your heart. It wasn't, your mind really wasn't, because that's not your journey. So those things, you realize real quick, not everything is for you at this time. So obviously you're going to go after those things that would honestly give you the most joy. So you don't have that experience of finally getting something you wanted and it feels empty and it doesn't fill the void. That void of expectation, the void of idealism, you know. Soon as you start having integrity and authenticity and clarity be a part of your value system, it kind of catapults you away and out of toxic situations. And it also gives you like the sword of truth to cut down people who want to continue on living in delusion, in lies, in deceptions, in limiting thinkings, into time wasting, and taking your energy. It happens automatically when you choose to be honest with yourself, to live in integrity, to have, stand up for you. This, you can't really fight it. It's like it's in your energy. It's part of your life. You will have no desire to sit in people's self-misery with them and continue. And like, if you sit there, you'll just kind of be like unpleasable and it will piss them off. So you'll see really quickly that people who aren't really truly living from their authentic center, from themselves, and they're not giving themselves that permission, you see that their whole life is like an overworking. They smile too big, they hug too hard, they hold on too much, they say too much, they overdo, they exhaust themselves. They're over emotional, they're overthinking, they're overworking, they're not relaxing because they're trying to do, be, and it's not working. But when you're coming from the authentic place, there's this natural relaxation, there's this genuine acceptance. And there's just a comfortability, there's like a healing vibe, there's like a sense of permission, and you can find that you'll have wonderful experiences. They're just very grounded, simple. You can go for a walk, have a conversation, if or not, but you'll just enjoy the moment together. There'll be intimacy. There'll be quality in those brief moments shared. Have those quality moments with yourself. Reacquaint yourself with your authentic, intimate self. Have an intimate relationship with you. Just throw away all those stories. They're not serving you truly. They're like momentary. You think they're serving you, but they're not. Authentic people get what they want, and that's the end of my story.